Hi, welcome to Kingston Library's Book Chat. I'm Carolyn, and today I'm talking about The Dictionary of Lost Words by Pip Williams. So, if I was to say that this story is closely tied to the creation of the Oxford English Dictionary and gives fascinating insights into how it was put together in the days before computers, you maybe wouldn't be inspired to pick up the book. But it's also the story of Esme, who was involved from when she was a very little girl sitting under the table where all this work was done. When the slip of paper containing the word bondmaid fell off the table and was lost to the dictionary, it ignited her lifetime love for the words and her curiosity as to why some became an official part of the English language and some were discarded. It's really interesting to have Esme's insider view as the English language is defined, but also reduced. It gives great food for thought to find out that if a word had no published occurrence, then it was automatically excluded from the dictionary and therefore from history. As the printed word up until then was largely the domain of the educated male, many words in common use, particularly by women, were being lost. Esme goes from collecting the slips of paper with discarded words to herself collecting and writing down other words that she hears from the women she meets. These are words that wouldn't get into the dictionary and might otherwise be lost. She records the names of the women who use the words as their usage source, which is very important to them, as this may be their only way of being recorded or remembered in history. At this same time, the women's suffrage movement was at its height, and the two strands of history are very relevant to each other. Esme is apprehensive of getting involved with the violent activism. She eventually realises through her own experience exactly why the movement is so necessary, both to women who are pushing the boundaries and to those who have no voice or power. Her contribution is a different one and demonstrates how language is so important to cultural change. There are strong echoes with now as we examine language closely for gender bias and racism. I hadn't really realised before that the dictionary is actually a history of all the words in it, as well as just their definitions, and how what is left out is as important as what is included. These weighty themes are gently explored through the very readable story of Esme and the people she loves, and the very interesting time she lives in. Towards the end of the story, the First World War begins and Esme starts to receive new words from people at the front. Words like bumf and cushy. Did you know that the word bumf, which means printed information that is not wanted and is not interesting, was first coined in the trenches in France? Communications from headquarters were termed bum fodder, shortened to bumf, and put to better use as toilet paper. Something to consider now in times of panic buying. It's a lovely look at how quickly language evolves and adapts to reflect its times, and makes you think about words that are now in everyday use that we did not have 6 months ago, like ISO and COVID and social distancing. So, while we are social distancing, pick up this book and have a read. It's on our BorrowBox app as an ebook and an e-audio book. And thank you for joining us for Book Chat.